today we got a question from Chad, who has a question about motivation that's very indicative of a lot of the questions that I'm getting right now. And I imagine this is, because of the COVID and the lockdowns and everything going on and sort of disrupting everyone's routines. But his story is very indicative of what a lot of people have experienced. And so I wanted to do this one. So Chad said that last year was an amazing year for him. He said that he'd been training at this point Jiu-Jitsu for several years. Training was going great. He's been lifting for 5 days a week at this time. And he even quit his job as an electrician and took over the family business, and business was good. Everything was going great. And then COVID struck. Lockdown struck. And it disrupted his whole routine. He went from doing all these good, beneficial things to, right now, he says he's sitting on his butt too much, he's drinking too much, smoking too much weed, his meal prep is gone, his diet's in the tubes, all that stuff, all the bad stuff you can think about. And this nice discipline routine that he had built for himself is gone. He says now he's in a situation where the lockdowns in his area have lifted, the gyms are open again, but he cannot seem to find the motivation to get back on the mat. He says, I don't know how to restart my motivation. I don't know how to find it. And so he sent me the message to see if I have any advice, because he says he has massive respect for what I share on the YouTube channel. But he says, can you give me any advice on how to crawl out of this pit of despair and get back on the warpath? So, brother, thank you for the question. And Chad, so let me get you to think about one thing real quick as we jump into this, and I'll share a story from my experience. I want you to start thinking about motivation not as a cause, but as a symptom. And I'll share what I mean. So right now, as you may know if you've been watching the videos recently, I'm in the sort of the middle of a diet. So I decided when I was sitting through the COVID lockdown, just like everybody else, I saw that everybody was growing wider because they're sitting around not training, not doing stuff, and I just need different challenges for myself. I just pick things out to do them. And so I decided, well, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to get slimmer. So I decided I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get on a diet. I'm going to drop some weight. Just what I decided to do. And at this point right now, while doing this video, I'm about 198, so I'm about 14 pounds lighter than when I started originally, and I'm feeling pretty good, right? I feel good. I'm excited about the weight loss. My muscles are coming in. I'm looking a little bit leaner, and what I'm doing right now, in case you're curious, is I'm dropping the weight to get lower, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and get low enough to do a weight class at a competition coming up. But the whole goal was to get lighter and then to increase insulin sensitivity, and then once I'm done getting lighter, I'm going to work my way back up, and I'm going to attempt to get up to about somewhere in between 210, 220. And so that's the goal. Now, when I started doing this, I wasn't particularly motivated to give up the foods, right? Because just like everybody else, I was eating a little bit too much during the lockdown. But again, I wasn't necessarily motivated to give up the foods that I was eating. But it's what I knew I needed to do. So I put myself on a diet, eating the same meals 6 times a day, just about over and over and over again, day in, day out. And then getting rid of all the junk out of my diet, which I don't have a ton, but there's some. Got rid of all that stuff. Now, I wasn't all that motivated by it. Now, on Fridays, I weigh myself in. Well, 1 week out, just 1 week from 1 week, I'd lost like 5 pounds. Most of it was water weight that I got rid of. But again, I'm looking in the mirror and I can see a little more definition around my midsection. I lost 5 pounds on the scale. Now I'm excited. Now I'm motivated because I'm like, it's working, right? Now the next week goes into it where I'm second week of dieting. I'm fine with it. I was actually traveling and I was preparing my Tupperwares. I was going to make sure I stayed on my diet, and I did everything that I needed to do because I wanted to make sure that I maintained that going into the next week because I'm motivated because I saw results. And then as it's continued, the results have kept going. I've kept getting leaner and I like it, so I'm motivated by it. And so with motivation, at least with me, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to, it's not something that finds you, right? It's not like the universe is going to come up and just pluck you. There's your motivation, Chad. Now you can get back to the gym. You've kind of got to get it going, right? It's like it follows Newton's law of motion. A body in motion stays in motion. If you're a motivated person and you're taking action, you stay motivated by that. It's even like the way I described it to one of my students the other day. It's like motivation is a really good friend, your favorite friend, the person you love hanging out with, but they don't have a car. You got to go pick them up. So like you're waiting around like, all right, motivation's coming someday. Where's he at? I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for that divine spark to come get me. It ain't coming. But you can go get it. You can go pick them up. And then once you guys get together, it's going to be a great time, right? Because once you pick up your best friend, now you're having a blast. And motivation's like that. It's not going to come pick you up. You got to go get it. You've got to go drive off and you got to pick it up. And the way that you do that is by taking action, taking that first step, getting in motion, doing something. Just do something, whatever it is. For you want to get back to jiu-jitsu? Get back to jiu-jitsu. Just start doing it. And then once you get back, that's when the motivation is going to kick in. And real quick, to address one of your things that you said in the message, you said that you were kind of embarrassed or that you were worried that someone was going to judge you for being gone so long. Bro, I can tell you right now with almost 100% certainty, I can't say it because maybe you got a jerk for a coach, but almost with 100% certainty, your coaches and your teammates will be excited to see you. Like I have people that are coming back from the COVID all the time and coming back from the lockdowns all the time. When they come back, I'm not like, where you been? Right? I'm excited to see them. I'm like, come back. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get you back on the mat and let's have a good time. I missed you, right? It's that kind of thing. And I'm sure it's going to be the same way with you, with your coach. It's not going to be something where they're going to guilt trip you. They're going to be glad you're back. And I think that once you get back into the gym, what happens a lot of times for people is that jiu-jitsu becomes an anchor for the rest of the other positive habits because there's so much feedback from your body. Day to day, we don't know what it's like to challenge ourselves, as far as most physically stuff. So you don't know, how is this really crappy diet affecting me? How is not working out affecting me? How is smoking too much weed affecting me? All these things. But then when you roll, you quickly realize, man, eating that bad food before training, that really messed me up. I need to eat better. Or I didn't sleep at all last night. I need to sleep because it was rough trying to remember the technique this morning. And maybe I shouldn't smoke so much weed before training or whatever, whatever your thing is. You get feedback from your body. And so a lot of times what ends up happening is when you do jiu-jitsu, it becomes the anchor that then all the other positive habits sort of attach to. And when that thing falls out, like it has for you, you lose those. But then once you get it back into place, they sort of naturally fill in the gaps. And so what I would say to you, brother, is again, getting back to it, motivation is not something that's like a cause, it's a symptom. And it's a symptom of what happens when you take action and you start seeing results. So instead of waiting around for it, right? Like sitting back, waiting for your buddy to come pick you up, think about it this way. As soon as you start taking some action, I can almost guarantee you're gonna start feeling a little bit more motivated, just like me with my diet. And so what I would encourage you to do, Chad, is instead of waiting for it, and this is true for any of the rest of you guys, no matter what time you're watching this, maybe it's way past the lockdowns, whatever you're doing, whatever it is that you want to do, just go do it. And once you start the process off, the motivation will follow behind you. So that would be my advice, my gentle nudge to you to get going and get back into the mats and get back to training. So hopefully that's useful to you, Chad, and thanks so much for the question. And guys, I'll talk to you next time.